When people first saw this man walking his pack of 6 German shepherds with no leashes, they genuinely couldn't believe what they were seeing. It looked unreal. A young man, quiet and composed, strolling through town while 6 large dogs moved around him like a single living unit, calm, focused, and completely in sync. No tugs, no distractions, no restraints, just silent, perfect coordination. Passers-by stopped in their tracks. Some took out their phones. Others whispered, wondering how this was even possible. Austo de Oliveira didn't look like a professional dog trainer. He didn't wear a flashy uniform or carry fancy gear. He wasn't giving loud commands or holding clickers or treats. He simply walked, and the dogs followed. It was like something out of a movie. People were amazed not just by the discipline of the dogs, but by the quiet authority Austo carried. You could feel it. The dogs didn't just obey him. They trusted him. Deeply. Blindly. But the more people watched, the more questions they had. How could one man, especially someone so young, have such control over such powerful animals? Some praised him, calling him a modern-day dog whisperer. Others weren't so sure. The whole thing looked too perfect, suspicious even. As Austo and his dogs became a regular sight around the streets and parks of Hyannis, Massachusetts, whispers began to grow. Some locals admired his calm presence and took photos when they saw him passing, but others grew uneasy. He didn't seem to talk to anyone. He always walked alone with his dogs. No friends, no neighbors, just him and his pack. That silence made people start to speculate. Some said he was using electric shock collars. Others thought he must have trained the dogs with fear. One neighbor, a woman who had spent years rescuing strays, became convinced something darker was going on. She collected signatures to push for an official investigation, demanding answers. What made things worse was Austo's refusal to explain. When asked, he would simply say it took a lot of patience and dedication. That was it. No details, no breakdown, just that. His quiet nature, which once seemed peaceful, now made people nervous. But Austo wasn't hiding anything sinister. In fact, he was hiding something remarkable. Originally from Brazil, Austo grew up on a farm surrounded by German shepherds. From the time he could walk, he was with them, feeding, playing, learning their behavior almost instinctively. Without even realizing it, he was training them, not with tools, but with presence. He moved like one of them. They saw him as part of the pack. When he moved to Massachusetts, he brought that same energy with him. And when police, pressured by the growing rumors, finally entered his apartment, they were stunned. There were no cages, no kennels, no chains, just 6 healthy, happy dogs: Griffin, Harmony, Jenna, Priscilla, Hannah, and Savannah, lounging freely in a spotless home. They slept on the bed with Austo, sprawled on the couch, and wandered the apartment with total comfort. There was no fear, no tension, just warmth, like a true family. Still, to be certain, authorities brought in animal behavior experts to observe Austo over several days. They watched everything: how he moved, how he spoke, how the dogs responded, and what they found amazed them. There was no abuse, no force, no tricks, just an incredibly strong bond built over years of consistency, care, and trust. The dogs didn't obey out of fear. They followed Austo because they saw him as their leader. He fed them himself, twice a day. He slept near them. He gave them time to run, play, and rest. He was part of their world every single day. That was the secret. Not fear, not control, just relentless love and presence. When the investigation ended with nothing but praise, Austo took the attention and turned it into something even more powerful. He opened Griffin Shepherd Kennels, named after one of his beloved dogs, where he began training dogs for families across the region. People sent in their puppies, and just weeks later, they returned home with calm, well-behaved companions. Austo never revealed every detail of his methods, but he did share one truth. The dog must see you as part of its pack. That bond doesn't come overnight. It's built slowly, through patience, structure, and respect. Even now, Austo can walk through crowded city streets with a dozen unleashed dogs following behind him like shadows. He's taken them through the noisy chaos of downtown Boston. And still, no barking, no pulling, no panic. Just calm, collected teamwork. His story went viral in 2013 when a passerby filmed him walking his dogs and posted it online. Millions were stunned by the sight of 6 massive shepherds walking calmly in step without a single leash. But behind that viral moment was a story of devotion, solitude, and quiet mastery. Would you be brave enough to walk past a pack of unleashed German shepherds on a city street? But Austo and his remarkable pack weren't the only ones showing the world what true loyalty looks like. There's also the story of a little girl named River and her 7 fluffy protectors. This is the story of River and her fluffy friends, a pack of German shepherds who raised a child as one of their own. Before River was born, these 7 dogs were already a close-knit family. Each had a unique personality, some bold, some shy, some playful, others calm and steady. Together, they formed a house filled with fur, barking, and affection. But everything changed the day River came home from the hospital. At first, there was caution. No one could predict how 7 large working dogs would react to the arrival of a fragile newborn. To prepare, her parents brought home one of her baby blankets. They laid it down in the living room, and one by one, the dogs came to investigate. Sniffing, wagging, curious. They could sense something different, something new and important. When River was finally introduced to them in person, something remarkable happened. There was no tension, no anxiety. Instead, tails wagged, noses nudged, and each dog greeted her with gentle curiosity, like she was already part of the pack. From that moment forward, River was never alone. Wherever she went, the dogs followed. If she crawled across the carpet, they watched her carefully. If she stood near a step, one would position itself close, just in case. Even when she napped, at least one shepherd would lie nearby, eyes half closed but ears alert. It didn't take long for River to form a special connection with each one. But one dog stood out from the rest. His name was Roman. Roman wasn't the loudest or the most playful, but he was the most loyal. Wherever River was, Roman wasn't far behind. When she played in the backyard, Roman stayed close. When she wandered toward the fence, Roman gently steered her back. And when other dogs got too energetic, Roman stepped in calmly, always careful not to startle her. He became her shadow, her quiet guardian. As the months passed, River began to behave more like a member of the pack than a toddler. She mimicked the dogs' movements, crawled beside them, and even let out little barks of her own. She shared her toys, she shared her snacks, and in return, the dogs shared their trust. Each of them took on a role. Some were playmates, others were teachers. All of them were protectors. The pack wasn't just tolerating her. They had accepted her. When River got sick for the first time, the mood in the house shifted. The dogs were quiet, watchful. Roman stayed under her crib all night. Another one curled up beside her blanket. They didn't need to understand illness to sense something was wrong. And when River laughed again, just once, it was like the entire pack exhaled. Some outsiders worried. 7 large dogs, all with strong personalities, around a toddler? Was it safe? Was it sanitary? Was it wise? But anyone who watched them together quickly understood. River never pulled ears or pushed faces. She was gentle, respectful, just like they were with her. What they shared wasn't just trust, it was balance. Every morning, River was greeted by a sea of tails and tongues. Every afternoon, she would sit in the sun surrounded by her furry companions. And every evening, when the lights went dim, 1 or 2 dogs would sneak into her room to sleep near the crib. Roman never missed a night. The bond between River and her dogs became legendary in their town. In the park, people would stop and watch as the toddler and her 7 shepherds moved like a single unit. Playful but calm, wild but disciplined. Even at the dog park, the other dogs seemed to instinctively understand that River was with them. She belonged to the pack, and the pack protected their own. As River grew, so did the bond. She started walking, then running, then speaking. But her first real word wasn't Mom or Dad. It was Ro-Ro, Roman's name. She would sit on his back like he was a pony, hold his fur like reins, and Roman would stand still, patient, proud. She wasn't just raised around dogs. She was raised with them. Today, River is a little older. She runs faster, climbs higher, talks more. But the pack is still there, still watching, still guarding. And Roman? He's always 1 step behind. If the story of Austo taught us the power of training, trust, and discipline, then the story of River reminds us of something even simpler. That loyalty isn't just learned. Sometimes it's chosen. By a little girl who believed she was one of the pack, and by 7 German shepherds who believed it too. If River and her fluffy friends touched your heart, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share the story with someone who still believes in real love. Because sometimes the most powerful bonds don't need words at all.